Senator Kroger.
Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. Madam Acting Deputy President, a couple of days before Christmas I got a phone call from a very distinguished and senior member of the Bosnian community in Victoria, a gentleman by the name of John Bosnick, who was seeking, and I have to say trying to persuade me to participate in a personally organised trip to Serbia, a place where there has not been a parliamentary delegation from Australia before, and in fact where only one Australian minister has visited, which was some close to 20-odd years ago. And it was on the basis of a personal invitation that was extended by the President, but as a first step towards further engagement between the Serbian Parliament and the Australian Parliament, notwithstanding the fact that it was not an official delegation. I have to say Mr John Bosnick's a very persuasive individual, notwithstanding that I was seriously tempted to spend a few days with my family in the first, immediately early in January, but I did decide that I would join three members from the House of Representatives, being Mr Luke Simpkins, Mr Chris Hayes and Mr Steve Georgianis. The reason I'm actually raising it tonight is because the Serbian ambassador, Dr Neda Malicic, is actually departing and leaving Australia after her term here of close to 3 years, and she's leaving at the end of the month. And I wish to put her on the record our appreciation for the extraordinary work that she went to put together what was an incredibly comprehensive program, but not only that, that provided a great opportunity for a very small number of parliamentarians to get an understanding of the economic and social and cultural and political landscape of Serbia, post-Balkan War era, and the way in which they are really doing everything they can to rebuild that country after what has been an incredibly volatile and very difficult time for them over the last 20 years. And with the work that Dr Neda Malicic put together, I do want to acknowledge and thank her at the outset, because she put an enormous work into putting together this trip for just the four of us, and the professionalism and the courtesy that she showed in putting the program together was second to none, and I really wish to table my thanks to her and applaud her for the way in which she put that program together, which was a particularly comprehensive visit. Not only did she coordinate it, but she made sure that we didn't go astray in any way, and actually returned to Belgrade with us, travelled with us, attended all the meetings with us, is a wonderful representative for the country, was and is an extremely effective advocate, a gracious host, and was, I have to say, relentless, absolutely relentless, in ensuring that we had every opportunity presented to us so that we could fully explore and appreciate the history, heritage, economic and political climate of Serbia. We, in essence, had a week of back-to-back meetings with a number of very senior people from the President down in Serbia. We were first met by the Australian ambassador in Serbia, Her Excellency Dr Helena Studart, who gave us an exceptionally good overview, and Senator Payne, I acknowledge your interjection in saying what an exceptional diplomat she is, because she really did demonstrate that on our arrival and gave us a terrific overview of what we could expect, but the sort of things that we should also consider and explore whilst we were there, which really highlighted and made it so much more valuable, the whole experience, I have to say. On the second day that we were there, we actually went to the National Assembly and met with a wide range of ministers, backbenchers, committee members, members from all political parties, and their political system is a very interesting one in which the next 5 minutes won't give me enough time to describe, so I won't attempt. But what they did provide us with was the rich, complex, political and very complex system that is what the Serbian parliament is. It was very interesting, and I'll just identify a couple of things that I think you might be particularly interested in, Madam Acting Deputy President. Some 38% of women are members of Parliament, and this representation, though, is achieved through what we described, or certainly those on the Labor Party side, your side, would describe as a quota system, even though that's not what they call it. The pre-selection system that applies there mandates across all parties that a minimum number of women in Parliament are elected at each election. And the parliamentary procedures and comparisons between the two systems were also made with 80% of the Serbian cabinet attend each question time, whilst the President himself attends only on a Thursday, which might be something that the Prime Minister might, I'm sure, would like to avail herself of that opportunity. But it was very interesting to note that there is a minimum number that are not only pre-selected but have to be elected into the Parliament at each election. One particular meeting I found particularly valuable, and it was a meeting with Serbia, which stands for the Serbia Investment and Export Promotion Agency. And the meeting was particularly informative because it actually presented the enormous opportunities that we could avail ourselves as a country in trading with Serbia, and the opportunities that actually do present themselves with the economic climate that exists in Serbia. And I'll just go through a couple of those because they indicate why it is an area that we really should continue to explore and certainly encourage business to consider it further. And I note that we do have mining companies in Serbia at the moment who are researching and looking at developing and investing further there. The GDP in Serbia has fallen away from 5.4% in 2005 to -2% in 2012. And we heard that the average median wage is around 370 to 400 euros per month. The Serbian population are incredibly driven population who just want to work, and they want to be given opportunities to provide for their families. They have a very conservative, hard-working ethic, and it is one that they apply to all their endeavours. Unemployment rate in many parts of Serbia is actually up to 19%. In some more rural areas, it is a lot more than that. And so this is a real problem for them, and one that they are seeking foreign investment in the country so that they can expand industry and expand a lot of, and particularly manufacturing industry, the automotive industry, tourism. Whilst we didn't have an opportunity to appreciate the full benefits that could be explored in that regard, I certainly saw that the history of the place is just an extraordinary, and is one that provides a lot of tourism opportunities. But an area that particularly interested me was in the agricultural sector, because in Serbia, everything that is produced in that country is organic, and it is the one thing that it differentiates the country rather, from all their neighbours. They actually produce something like 70 to 80% of the raspberry production in the world, and that is largely because of the fact that in no way are these raspberries used, insecticide used, and so on. There is a great opportunity for them to increase their productivity. Irrigation is very, very poorly applied. It's essentially non-existent there. Great opportunity to increase production. We really, really appreciated our opportunity to be there, and I strongly commend the Parliament to consider a formal delegation to Serbia, because I think it is something that Australia and Serbia could benefit from in strengthening their ties. Thank you.